Hi girls, this is Mr. Gilmore. I hope all of you are happy and healthy. This will be our first video during the school closures. So today I thought we might as well just start with something new and start with something a little bit simpler. So this will be stuff that you probably remember from primary school. So what I'd like you all to do is I'd like you to go to chapter 9 of your book, section area, perimeter and volume. That's page 188. So you should see the Egyptian and Henry VIII measuring their arms. And today we're just going to be looking at units of measure. So just the units that you use to measure this or that. Now what I'd like you all to be doing while I'm going through these videos is just making, imagine this is the seam of your book, of your copybook. Just jot down what I'm working through so that you at home have your own notes as well. So what do I mean by units of measure? Well, what I mean is, you probably remember this from primary school, your meters, your kilometers, your centimeters, and your millimeters, which I'm sure all of you have also gone through in science. So this should be a fairly easy video, and we'll move on to slightly harder stuff with our next video. So, half of you probably already remember, okay, 1,000 meters, that's the same as 1 kilometer. 100 centimeters is the same as 1 meter, and 10 millimeters is the same as 1 centimeter. So kind of taking those two, you can also realize that 1,000 millimeters is the same as 1 meter. And these words, they don't come out of nowhere. The kind of prefix, kilo, prefix, the part of a word that comes before the main portion of it, that comes from the Greek word for 1,000, and therefore you have kilometer, you have kilogram, and so on. Centi, similarly, cent comes from, now it isn't actually the Greek word for kilo, but centi comes from the Roman or Latin word for 100. And milli comes from the Roman or Latin word for 1,000. So centi, you can think of century, or you can think of like a cent. 100 cents in a euro. Centi, century, 100 years. Similarly, milli, a millennia is 1,000 years. So that's kind of the theory behind it. Let's look at an example or two. So needless to say, you'd use a kilometer, a meter, a centimeter, and a millimeter in very different ways. If you were measuring, let's say, from here to Galway, for example. So I'm just going to go Dublin, Galway. You'd measure that in kilometers. If you were measuring, the height of a man, You might measure that in meters. I know most of you probably still measure people in foot and inches, but you can still measure people in meters as well. If you're measuring, let's say, a mouse. Now for my terrible drawing of a mouse. You might measure that in centimeters. And if you were measuring something as small as maybe an ant, you'd use millimeters. So really they're all used for the same things. They're all used for measuring distances or lengths of things, or widths of things, but it's just the larger the scale, you know, you'll need to use different units. So if I had, let's say, 34 millimeters, and I wanted to give that to myself in centimeters, what I'd do is I would divide it by 10, because there's 10 millimeters to every centimeter. So 34 millimeters would be 3.4 centimeters. And even as I hold this ruler here, you can see if I count 34 of these, I'm going to see that it's actually 3 centimeters, 0.4. Similarly, if I had, let's say, 405 centimeters, and I wanted to change that to meters, I'd divide that. So I'd go, okay, 405 divided by 100 to get from centimeters to meters, and I'd get 4.05 meters. And I'm going to allow you guys to use your calculators for this. So 405 divided by 100, and that's going to give it to us in a fraction, but we'll just hit the SD and change it to 4.5 meters. Grand. Similarly, if I had, let's say, 1,295 meters, and I wanted that in kilometers, again, I'd go, okay, 1,000 meters is 1 kilometer, so 1.295 divided by 1,000. That again gives me 1,295 divided by 1,000. So from meters to kilometers, 1.29 kilometers. Now let's say if I had something in kilometers, let's say I had 2.9 kilometers. I wanted that in meters, so 2.9 kilometers. I want that in meters. I multiply that by 1,000, and lo and behold, yep, I get 2,900 meters. What if I wanted to be crazy and I wanted to get that in millimeters? Well, again, I could just take 2,900, multiply that by 1,000, and I get, fairly large number. Let's count out those zeros. 5 zeros. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Perfect. So I get 2,900,000 millimeters. But as you can immediately see, that sounds a bit silly. That sounds a bit stupid. So we wouldn't use millimeters to measure something that we would normally give in kilometers. So that's all I'm going to do with you guys today. If you've struggled with any of this, record back, look over it. And I'm going to give you guys a little bit of work to do. So on pages 109 and 191, can we do questions 1 to 5? And then I'm going to say 7 through 14. So I know that seems like quite a lot of questions. Remember, this is both the amount of questions I would have given you in a class and what I would have given you as homework. Now, what I want you doing with this is I want you to do this work in your copybooks. And then I want you to just take your phone, take a photo of it, and make sure it's a clear photo. So make sure you've got plenty of lighting, like I'm doing here. I'm not going to be doing these videos in the dark. And then I want you to upload it to the assignments tab on in a Microsoft Teams group. And I'll link in the doobly-doo different ways, or sorry, how you can do that. There's a video already online, and then there's also a kind of general guide for it. And I just wanted uploaded. If you are having trouble with Microsoft Teams, that's okay. What I'm going to ask is, if you're having trouble with Microsoft Teams, then you can email me your work. But if you're emailing me your work, can you also just send a quick screenshot of what's gone wrong? So if you go onto your laptop, you'll see print screen on your keyboard. If you hit that, and then you just kind of right click and paste into the email that you send me, just showing me what's gone wrong, so I can see, okay, this is where people are having trouble with. As always, you are free to talk on the Microsoft Teams group about any issues you might have. Feel free to post onto the main kind of scroll of it, because obviously if you have a question, then it's likely someone else has a question. If it's something that you're feeling a little bit sensitive about, you can also email me. Great, girls. Thank you very much. I will expect this work done for, let's say Friday. I'm going to give you guys a little bit of leeway, but I will ask you to do more work on top of that probably tomorrow, when I upload another video going into kind of the next chapter on, okay? So I'm giving you a little bit of leeway so that you can upload it and you can figure out how to do that. But I'm going to keep on adding work to you guys. So it is important that you're continuously uploading. And if I find that someone isn't sending in their work, I'll send them an email as well. Great. Thank you, girls. Have a lovely day.